Hi, wealth friends. This is Lynn, and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about ILUS International, ticker symbol ILUS. Like many of our favorite OTC stocks, ILUS has been performing better over the recent past, which is fantastic. As we know, OTC stocks and penny stocks in general are very cyclical. They've been down in the recent past. Last year they were up quite a bit, and now with the S&P 500 and overall market pulling back, it's so exciting to see our OTC stocks starting to perform again. So today I'm going to share details with you today of why ILUS performance is improving and what you might expect to see. But remember, before we go and talk about ILUS, that OTC stocks are highly risky, and I only invest money in them that I can afford to lose. High risk versus high potential reward. And remember, this is not financial advice, but for entertainment only. So let's go and take a look at ILUS. But before we do that, remember to give this video a thumbs up in return for me bringing you an update on ILUS. And while you're at it, subscribe for more videos like this one. First, let's take a look at ILUS stock and see how it's performing. First stock chart we'll look at here is a one-year stock chart. Each candlestick represents 1 day. And you can see here that we show a level of support at around 11 cents and a level of resistance and the green bar at about 15 cents. You can see the stock has been sliding back and it's been doing a little better recently. So let's zoom in and look at the 5-day stock chart. Each candle represents 5 minutes. And you can see here that on May 18th, it ran up quite a lot, and then it slid back after that. And again, here you see that support level around 11 cents and the resistance level of a little over 15 cents. But you can see that the stock appears to be bouncing off that support level, which is great news. Let's look at news for ILUS. On June 2nd, they released this news release about emergency response technologies, which of course is owned by ILUS, acquiring the controlling block of Wikisoft Corporation. So what will that mean to ILUS? Of course, they own 100% of emergency response technologies, which is now controlling the OTCQB company Wikisoft, which trades under the ticker WSFT. So we're going to look at that in more detail in a little while here. And ILUS CEO Nick Link has taken over as chairman of Wikisoft. To understand a little bit more about Wikisoft, let's look at their news release. Also, on June 2nd, they announced the acquisition of controlling shares, like we already discussed, by Emergency Response Technologies, and that a new board of directors and executive officers are being put in place with immediate effect. So they will be exploring and taking on growth opportunities, which will involve a reorg of Wikisoft and a change in focus. So I'm interested to see what that is. Wikisoft will apply for a new name and ticker change. Looking at their website, we see that Wikisoft has been focused on business intelligence. So Wikisoft's vision and strategy is to create opportunity globally by collecting precise data, curating it, verifying it, and putting it in the hands of professionals and businesses as consumable business intelligence. They believe in the power of Wikisoft to collect massive amounts of data and deliver it to businesses curated, credible, and reliable. So it sounds like they'll have a new focus coming up. So let's look at their Yahoo Finance profile there to understand more about them. They're tiny with a 34 million market cap. They don't have a P/E ratio or upcoming earnings date or dividend showing on Yahoo Finance. They have a tiny average volume of shares traded per day of 646,000 and a 52-week price range of 1 cent to $1.98. If you look at their stock chart, they've had a big run up on June 2nd with the announcement of the acquisition of their controlling shares. Next, let's take a quick look at Wikisoft's financials. I still can't figure out why ILUS purchased them. They have zero revenues for, as you can see here, since the revenues they produced in 2019 of 44,000, because all these numbers, you add 3 zeros to them. And they have a negative net income for common stockholders each year that's been growing to a negative $5,160,000. Looking at their balance sheet, you can see they do have some assets of $226,000, which is small, but on a plus, They have no total non-current liabilities, so they don't owe long-term money to pay back debt. Let's take a look at the cash flow, because that really shows us the value of the company and what they've been generating from their own operations. In looking at their cash flow, they've had a negative operating cash flow each year that's been growing. It looks like the trailing 12 months is reducing a little bit, and their free cash flow is a really key number, and that's also been quite negative, as you can see on the bottom, a negative $409,000 for 2021. Let's next take a look at from the Go-Tina, talking about it's cyclical, and stocks like Humble, ENZC, and ILUS are starting to perform again. ILUS, as we know, is really great about putting out updates and news releases. So let's look at one, find out what's going on. So ILUS International summarizes its first quarter of 2022 disclosure. So this article was released on May 16th. So they recently filed this disclosure for the first quarter due to an ongoing audit which is nearing completion. I'll bring you that information as soon as we have that out. And the alignment of companies within its key subsidiary, Emergency Response Technologies, Inc., ILUS did not include revenue from its first quarter acquisitions. Despite this, ILUS still reported a strong increase in revenue and its balance sheet for Q1 2022 compared to its quarterly figures for the same period in 2021. ILUS reported Q1 2022 revenue of $3 million, representing a 482% increase over its revenue in Q1 2021. The company also reported a 73% increase in its balance sheet for the same period to $34 million. Its highest reported balance sheet to date, with customer behavior varying between quarters due to seasonal and cyclical trends. The third and fourth quarters of each year are often the strongest for businesses in the manufacturing and distribution industries. Additional highlights of the company's profit and loss statement for the first quarter include a gross profit of $1.8 million, up more than $1.6 million on the same period in 2021, and an increased net profit of $636,000. ILUS made significant operational progress during the first quarter of 2022. In addition to its 2 completed and 2 agreed acquisitions, the company opened new offices in Dubai, UAE, and Boca Raton, Florida. The ILUS global headquarters in Dubai have capacity for up to 80 team members, while its U.S. regional office in Boca Raton has capacity for up to 15. Let's look at another article with some great news on ILUS. So Emergency Response Technologies, Inc., a wholly owned subsidiary of ILUS International, confirms the appointment of law firm Lukowski Brookman LLP to assist with upcoming plans. This looks really great as far as plans to uplist. That's what this type of company usually works on, so let's find out more. Lukowski Brockman is a leading corporate law firm with offices in New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, and Seattle. The firm represents both domestic and international clients in sophisticated corporate and securities transactions, mergers and acquisitions, public offerings, secured and unsecured lending transactions, pipes, commercial and securities litigation, intellectual property, insurance coverage and defense, real estate, and general corporate matters. The law firm is the industry leader in assisting domestic or foreign quoted OTC companies and foreign exchange listed companies with their growth plans, such as uplisting to the Nasdaq. So let's see when that might happen. It's exciting to see these plans taking place. Let's next take a look at ILUS short report. You can see here that there's an average of volume percent shorted about 47% over the last 5 days. That's a little bit more than in late April. We have an average about 40% of volume shorted. I'd love to hear your comments below about ILUS. Do you own this stock? What are your thoughts about it? Do you think ILUS has a big comeback coming? Also, what are your thoughts on when they may be uplisting? And while you're at it, make sure and subscribe to our newsletter. A link is in the description below so that you can be notified before videos like this come out and about the latest hot moves in our favorite OTC stocks. Next, go here to view our latest videos on big movers such as ENZC, AITX, Sybil, Humble, and more.